Put your seatbelts on, my friends. All right, in this talk, Miss Shelby Joe Long, communication professor, business culture specialist, 5 time CEO, and author, invites her audience to explore the power of leading with authenticity by focusing on 3 essential pillars. Three, my friends: transformation, alignment, and engagement. Drawing on her extensive experience in both academia and business, Shelby emphasizes the importance of creating a lasting impact by guiding the audience towards actionable insights that spark change rather than simply delivering information. By shifting from the typical speaker to audience dynamic to a more interactive, human centered approach, Shelby aims to move beyond just teaching and truly engage, ensuring that every listener feels seen, heard, and motivated to transform. Please put your happy fingers up and shake 'em for Miss Shelby Joe Long.
What if everything we were taught about human communication is wrong? What about that statement? Now, I've been a college professor of business communication for 18 years. So when I say that statement, I think scary statement for me because so many of the foundational ideas that I have about communication are so important. We have to support our arguments, we have to use good research, we've got to be more visible. All of these steps that people tell us about human communication might need a different perspective. So we think about how, as speakers, and I'm speaking to a room full of speakers and experienced trainers, how we can make the biggest impact with communication is that communication isn't about just telling our audience information or even teaching our audience the right way to do something. Communication is about much more than that, because we can't transfer that information or have that trust that the information is truthful unless we have that feeling first. Communication is a feeling and it's an emotion that we deal with. We have to understand or even think about understanding before we can make that connection with your audience. Now, I'm assuming my assumption is that most of you want to make the biggest impact with your audience. You can give me a 1 in the chat or you can raise your hand if you think that most speakers want to make that kind of impact with their audience. They want to make an influence. They want to speak because it fulfills something in them. I know it does for me. I get those tingles when I speak. I'm so excited when I'm on the stage. Anybody else with me? Give me a 1 in the chat if you're with me. We are speakers because we want to be there and we want to influence. But what if we can make our audience feel the same way? That we can put our audience in the same position where they're feeling that tingling, they're feeling that inspiration. They know that when they walk out of the room, they want to be with somebody or they want to take a move to make some sort of change. What if we can listen to our own inspiration to begin to think about how we can transfer that information to our audience? That's what I'm going to talk about today, because I feel that sometimes I am leaving opportunity at the table and I'm leaving money at the door if I'm not thinking about how I am creating that same emotional connection for my audience. Because I know, and hearing from the speech earlier, that many people are scared of public speaking. They don't necessarily want to be in front of the audience, but that's a fear that they have. I feel the motivation to be able to help my audience feel the same way, that they want to make some sort of change. And by transitioning and just engaging a few of these ideas to be a more authentic speaker and show up authentically in your leadership rather than authoritatively helps you make that impact better with your audience because they feel it and they want to make a change. So how do we do that? First, let's talk about transformation. We've all been in the speaking space for quite some time. We've worked with many other speakers. I have also been there for quite some time. We work with speakers to help them gain confidence. We work with business owners to help them earn more money. We work with, if you're in fitness, you work with your clients to help them achieve a better level of fitness. We want them to achieve something. We want to inspire our audience to do something. So how do we do that? Is that we've got to focus on the results first and then build our plan afterwards. It's kind of like, jumping out of the plane and building your parachute on the way down. But what that does to your audience is that it helps you engage with the audience to be able to speak about that transformation, to encourage the audience to take that first step. So as a speaker, and as fellow influencers and communicators, thinking about that and reinventing the way that we operate and helps us show up more authentically. And the way that it does that is that we have a reflection on our own transformation. We have walked from one path to another, and we have chosen to go a certain way and face a fear, jump out of the plane, walk into a certain conflict, because that changes who we are. We have done that. And as a speaker, to make our audience feel and understand that and show up more authentically, we help walk our audience through that. So as a speaker, to be more authentic and transformational in our presentation, that's the first question we should ask about our audience and about our presentation is, what change do we want to happen at the end of our presentation? What do we want our audience to feel differently about? Or what do we want our audience to do when they walk out of the room? Do we want them to take some sort of action? Do we want them to feel a certain way or think about something differently? And putting that results first mentality into our transformative speech helps us really show up more authentically, because our journey is at the center of it, but we make our journey central to the audience because we want to inspire them to make a transformation, because fear is the biggest thing that's holding many of us back. The other way that we can do that by aligning our transformation and our own journey that makes us unique, that makes us stand out as a unique brand in the marketplace, that makes my speech coaching and matching different than my competitors. That's all a really significant part of our brand and our story, because it's our journey, and my journey and your journey is going to connect with audiences differently, is aligning that journey with your mission and your vision and your purpose, connecting your experience with the audience, being vulnerable in front of the audience. And, we hear a lot about vulnerability and how we can be more vulnerable with our audience. Many people have been taught to tell their story, and that's a way that you can be more vulnerable with the audience. Put a 1 in the chat or raise your hand or give me some sort of affirmation if story is a way that you can really help connect with the audience. I believe we've all heard that through, I'm a speech teacher. I've been teaching that for a long time. We've all heard that story is a great way to connect with our audience and be more vulnerable. It is, but it becomes significantly more powerful when we can take our own unique experience and have our audience think the same about that. My unique experience of being in a car wreck and being in a coma for 16 days and having to relearn everything to be able to go back to school and graduate salutatorian is a unique experience to me. It has likely not been experienced by my audience, but I can step away from that and talk about the themes of transformation and reinvention and trusting in my foundational genius to be able to lead me through the toughest times of my life. Those are the themes that resonate with our audience. And those are the themes that can resonate and help your story become more emotional and have that connection with the audience. Your audience can feel that change. So I challenge you to think about that transformation and how you can take your own personal story back out of that and create that experience that can connect your story to the audience. Which leads us finally to engagement, and how important engagement is as you show up as an authentic speaker and a speaker with charisma that people want to knock down the door and talk to you after a presentation. That's what we want. That's how we build our business. That's how we build our impact and our influence. But we've got to engage that. Aligning our brand and aligning our ideas with our audience helps us engage the audience more. Asking more questions, involving the audience. When we involve the audience, they listen in a different way, they internalize in a different way, and they want to be involved with the transformation. We have these conversations with the audience. We ask them to be involved with the audience and ask to be involved with our presentation. That makes us more vulnerable because we might not get through everything we want to, but sure helps us show up more authentically because we're responding and we're engaging with the audience, and we want to be a part of their experience. Remember, we want the audience to feel. We want the audience to be a part of what we're doing. We want the audience to transform and have some sort of impact at the end of our presentation. We don't just tell our story, we help our audience live that story by sharing our experience and becoming more engaged. Make communication your competitive edge to make a bigger impact.